Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. We are running Oops All Spells right into Eldrazi here in the final game of a Wednesday Night Legacy. Oops All Spells, a incredibly fast deck, and it looks like Peter may have had to mull down a bit. Now, Eldrazi leading out with a Once Upon a Time. Let's see if I actually have these names correct for the decks. Look like an Iavugan? Or Ancient Tomb, perhaps? Into Grim Monolith. Alright, this is looking like Eldrazi so far. Probably the more over-the-top version. There's a lower-to-the-ground Eldrazi. And Peter has that first turn kill, so Eldrazi not part of this one. Tough to even know what you put down your Chalice at here. Now, Chalice at 0 is going to stop Lotus Petal and Chrome Mox, which is my initial instinct versus this deck. Chalice at 1 is going to stop Dark Ritual, potentially Tinderwall if they play it, Cabal Therapy, if they do have a combo piece stranded in their hand. And that's pretty much the only option for the first turn when we're talking about playing your Chalice. Chalice at 1 also can stop Nature's Claim, Wear Tear. Well, no, just the Wear side. They're going to want the Tear side, so it doesn't stop the 2-mana side. But there's some like Fragmentize, some Disenchants that cost 1 mana that Oops can decide to run. Probably Nature's Claim more than anything. The 4 life is going to be largely irrelevant, as you are actually just killing with a Thassa's Oracle. You don't need to deal any damage. So Peter picking that first one up. This deck is dangerous. Don't blink. We're going to skip ahead to the next game. And we'll see what James can do with the play again this time. And last time, turn 1 Ancient Tomb into Grim Monolith. That untapping with 6 or 7 potential mana for a turn. But getting to that untap step is not a given when you're playing against combo. Particularly this combo, as it is just incredibly fast. Now, I don't really think it's worth keeping a hand that can't win on the first turn. We'll see how willing Peter is to mulligan. He's down to 5. We have a Chalice at 0. Iavugan, Eldrazi Mimic. Solid enough start. The mana available to Peter here is going to be Spirit Guides, those flip lands, DFCs, I think they're calling them. A Blast Zone at 1. Naturally coming in with that 1 counter. Not going to have a ton of utility there. Cavern of Souls. And now a Thought-Knot Seer. And we get to see what was worth keeping. And I got to imagine the... Oh, we actually took the Nature's Claim. I would have imagined taking the Balustrade Spy, but fair enough. I thought it was either a Balustrade or Undercity Informer. We have a Matter Reshaper giving a slight boost to this Eldrazi Mimic, and swinging in for 7, putting lethal in range. And now we've got Lotus Petal getting countered, and that'll do. Chalice at 0. Very likely the correct line versus this deck. The entire game state is compressed down into a single turn. Just tremendous pressure on your opponent, but it also puts a lot of pressure on your deck building. You just don't have much in the way of options for finding solutions to whatever your opponent puts in your way. Your solution is just showing up before those hate cards can hit the board. So a card like Rest in Peace, while it can stop the graveyard portion of the strategy, I would not feel very good, even on the play, having Rest in Peace in my deck. I mean, if you're getting to turn 2, you're probably going to win anyways. If you have any type of discard, counter spells, anything like that, that starts to accumulate, and it's going to make it harder and harder for them to actually find a way to resolve their combo. I mean, it's not very resilient. I think this is a typical glass cannon, or a perfect example of a glass cannon deck, to the point where it actually combos into Belcher post board as well. You've got a lot of the same infrastructure in terms of your rituals and fast mana, and some sideboards actually dedicate slots to 4 LEDs and 4 Goblin Charbelchers just as a way of sidestepping that graveyard hate. Now, in my testing, I found that wasn't really ideal. For the most part, it was way slower than a regular Belcher deck. Like, very often you were a full turn slower. I guess the only other note from testing I would say is Lion's Eye Diamond is significantly better than it initially appeared, because you can use it to pay the 1 mana for your Undercity Informer. That card only costs 3 mana and 1 to activate, so LED is actually useful there. So you can just have like a land, Dark Ritual, and an LED and be able to get out your creature and activate, which is nice. It also helps give you a little bit of play around days. Just a little bit. If they time it properly, it's still a big issue. But that is the type of deck that Oops All Spells is. It puts a lot of pressure on your opponent to make the precise, correct play. Any type of inaccuracy can often just be the difference between winning and losing right there on the spot. And we got some mulligan going on here. See if James is perhaps looking for some graveyard hate. Peter, of course, looking for a hand that can actually win. We saw how quickly Eldrazi can punch the game out if given time. And you don't want to just be in a situation where you're relying on the top of your deck with Oops All Spells. There are a ton of bricks in there. Drawing cards like Narcomoeba and Thassa's Oracle, Dread Return can potentially just be too much. And we see Peter's head gently bounce off the table as those 2 Leyline of the Void arrive. Perhaps he has an answer to one of them, but answering both is a big ask. He is actually bolting himself. We have a Chalice at 0 along with an Eldrazi Mimic, so the clock is set. Peter, okay, he should not have bolted himself. That does end up costing him a turn off the top of the deck. It is conceivable that James could be in a situation where he's looking to ride out 2 Leylines, a Chalice, and just a single Mimic. Now, if more help arrives, he's going to be in terrible, terrible shape, and this really hastens his demise, as we've got another Eldrazi Mimic joining in. This time the land coming in tapped, not bolting himself. A end step. Oh, I missed. We've got a Chalice at 1 down. So a Nature's Claim went to be played there. I didn't actually catch the Chalice at 1 coming down, I don't think. We have Chalice at 1, Chalice at 0, and a pair of Leylines. 4 damage a turn leaves Peter with just 2 turns left, and this mana base does not allow for Reverent Silence or any of the stronger sweepers that Dredge has access to in terms of unlocking these terrible game states to give you a window to win. Instead, it looks like these Eldrazi Mimics are just going to close this one out, despite Peter having an answer to a single Leyline. That is not enough to handle 2 of them along with a Chalice at 1. Simian Spirit Guide being cast. And now, finally, additional ground support show up. Eldrazi Mimics do get to actually finish the game as they try and grow up to be like their big brother and do that extra damage. Part of the thing that makes that deck so dangerous is that added reach. But there, it's a mercy that it ended it when it did. Otherwise, it would have essentially just been one more turn. That Simian Spirit Guide saved the indignity of blocking, as Pair of Leyline of the Void proves to be strong enough to take down Oops All Spells. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.